Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into this week's edition of the Duval Dive. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, student of the game of Fans First Sports Network here, bringing you to the latest action that we have going here. And listen, we had the opportunity to actually jump on here just a minute ago. I saw my good friend, my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, recently talk about Adam Schefter saying that the suspension of Azeez Al-Shaair, a.k.a. the notorious linebacker that belted Trevor Lawrence to eventually have him on the IR. Well, there's a whole lot of more on that later in this statement here. We'll be talking about here shortly. But the appeal for his 3-game suspension, as we saw, dropped on Tuesday, has been, or rather the suspension has been upheld. The appeal has been denied, which is very surprising. Definitely going to go over that in a minute here. Of course, we also have on the list of things to talk about the Tennessee Titans, the first Jaguars Tennessee Titans battle for the year. Jags are already 2-10, and they're just now getting around to the Titans. That's fascinating. Forgot that all that was this late on the schedule, but we'll get into all that. And of course, listen, Travis D. Holmes is right to say that it's the Calvin Ridley revenge game. We'll get into that later. And then, of course, we'll try and get in to talk about Walker Little's contract section if we have time tonight. But, of course, we're going to be talking an awful lot, or at least a healthy amount, of the incident of this past Sunday that is sweeping the nation with Trevor Lawrence and hit that hit that was flagged, and the one where Azeez Al-Shaair was suspended over during the Houston Texans game in Everbank Stadium this past Sunday. But before I get into that, listen, you know who I have to bring in. You know why he's here. I need a defensive perspective. I need somebody to tell me if, in fact, that some people who are actually saying that Shaair shouldn't be suspended are out of their minds, or if it's just me, I don't know. This is why I call him my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, Big Cat Country. What's going on, my man? Good to have you in as always, brother. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm relatively speaking, I'm doing well, bro. I mean, obviously, I'm not, doing ecstatic because I am still a fan of this team while also covering them. But, within reason, I am still alive and I haven't hung myself from a bridge. So, hey, we're in good spirits.
Listen, sometimes it's better to keep the bar low and keep those. It's the little wins that keep you in the game. I 100% realize that. For example, Mac Jones throwing his first touchdown pass since 2013 this past Sunday. It's the little wins that you get excited about. Of course, I mentioned that fact and others on the good, the bad, and the spotty, which I write every week on the Fans First Sports Network. So hold on. There we go. Much better bell that time. So, we'll check all that out. But first, I'm going to lead right into it with this. I know we touched on the hit itself on the Duval Dive live this Sunday, such that it is. And now I mentioned Adam Schefter, of course, mentioning the suspension being upheld. But first of all, did you feel right about 3 games being a at least a decent number?
I won't lie to you. Originally, all emotions and everything else the night of, I'm thinking, all right, this absolutely needs to be a 3-4 game suspension. And if the NFL would have come down with that, I would have backed it also. But after a day sleeping on it, after seeing, the Texans make their arguments about, what do they call it? Precedents, basically. They pulled in all they pulled in all the past suspensions that have happened. One of them being, Derwin James, and who ended up getting a 1-game suspension after, 5 or 6 unnecessary roughness penalties, 1 late hit, all those called on the field. And then I'm like, ooh, that's a tough argument to make if you want to be consistent or even remotely consistent around that. And that's why that's why I wanted to. I probably would have landed on 2 games and been just fine with it. As a Jaguars fan, I'm absolutely ecstatic about 3 games. Like, I think that's absolutely fair. But what about you, man?
Yeah, listen, if I were the Ginger Hammer, if I were Roger Goodell, or if I was VP John Runyon, BP, of course, of NFL operations, John Runyon, who wrote a scathing letter, which if I can find it while we're talking here, I'm more than happy to read myself. But if it were me, I would have handled this a lot like a car salesman. I would have handed down 5, assuming an appeal would go through. right?
Okay.
Just like you kind of were throughout the week out there on Twitter, of course, and Blue Sky. By the way, you hip SOB, you Travis D. Holmes on both. But I was with you. I thought the appeal was going to uphold and all of that. There's we got some good comments coming in too, all the way from our friend Robert there too. I'm gonna touch on these. I don't think he's gonna like my answers, but I will touch on. And of course, shouts. I'll do the easy one first out of the way. Good to see you back, Hef. How you doing, brother? So that's kind of where I would land. Now, there are reactions like Robert has here. He doesn't deserve to play in the NFL. He should be banned for the year. While I appreciate the emotion, can't exactly do that either. Trust me. Listen, if you want to talk about precedents, Travis D. Holmes, if Vontaze Burfict was allowed to play in this league as long as he was without being banned, and again, I hate the precedent argument because the NFL office getting it wrong other times doesn't justify them getting it wrong for you. So that's why that part that you throw in is trash to me. But that being said, the fact that we got to 3 games, which is what I was going to be bargaining for in the first place, when there's maybe 5 games left in the season.
Right.
What we're on week 13, right? 3 of those, that's significant. And say what you will about the conduct of Al-Shaair. He's still an important player to the defense. We don't necessarily want to penalize the members of the Texans that are upholding their conduct. We're trying to penalize the organization and making sure that they don't get higher than a 4th seed if Al-Shaair means that much. Is a fair trade-off to me in my mind. And now, granted, I hate putting it in such cold terms like that. Trevor Lawrence is still a human who's about to be did they have the kid yet? I forget. Anyway,
no. He's about to be a dad.
Okay, so it's about to be, he's about to be a girl dad. Like that's a factor here, and that matters. Like we're not trying to make guys, vegetables here. We're trying to avoid that. That's why we're even having this whole conversation. Is we're supposed to be in the new world of the NFL where this is a factor, right? Just long before he induced some element of CTE on Chris Rock. How many clips did we see in that trailer for concussion? Tell the truth, right? That whole thing. There has been so much put in emphasis on not hitting guys like that. I don't give a damn if it's a quarterback or not. Everybody's trying to drag in, well, if it's the quarterback or, and I mean no disrespect to Robert by bringing this comment into it. What this sentiment of, oh, well, if it was Mahomes, he would be out of the league. Or, if it's any court, if it was Stroud, you'd feel differently. All this other crap, right? I don't know that it's necessarily crap, but because let's be real. But let me land the plane here, and I'll let you jump in on that because I'm not saying there's zero to me. I'm not saying that has zero bearing on any of it. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is where I land the plane. All this other stuff is window dressing. The reason why Al-Shaair should be suspended at least 3 games, and I had 3 games, like I said, I'm willing to capitulate at the end of the day that there is another side to the argument, weak as it's made at times. More on that later. I do understand that the league has accented this, right? I'll do it again just because I like doing the accent, even though I'm bad at it. Tell the truth. That whole thing was, how long did we have to stare at that trailer, man, in that movie? Okay? And then on top of that, the lawsuit settlement to the tune of billions of dollars that was made, and all the noises that's been made, and all the CTE stuff, and you have a C on your chest for that team. This is why you got hit with that. There's no middle ground on this. Okay, it was a quarterback. It's Patrick Mahomes. I don't care. For me, it starts and ends there. If a hit like this took place to Travis Etienne, I'd still be pissed. Okay, and then there's morons like Joe Thomas out there who are like, well, let's stop weaponizing fake sliding. No, okay, you can count the number of instances that's happened on one hand. All right, I don't care about all that. What I do care about is the forearm and the intent, not just to hit but to harm. It is one thing to attempt to jar a ball loose. It is another to take a guy out. And we were supposed to have learned this with Bounty Gate and Greg Williams in New Orleans, right?
Okay. All right. Let me jump in.
I landed the plane. We good, homie.
All right. Cool. No. All right, this is where I'm at on this, because I think it's a legitimate conversation that is taking place across the media, across the landscape, across the socials. Everybody's kind of talking about it. And the legitimate piece of the conversation is, all right, quarterbacks taking advantage of the rule, and I say or, not and, quarterbacks taking advantage of the rule either with the fake slides or, using the sidelines to their advantage, what the defenders don't know when they're going to run out of bounds versus kind of keep on running.
I hear that argument. It's a different conversation to this hit. Can we be clear about that?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So it's a legitimate conversation that needs to be had and has needed to be had for about a year or so. Right. And I think many people in the media, including myself, to be clear, have been having this conversation separately, and other people have been trying to link it to the Trevor Lawrence conversation. My stance on this, my stance on this is, as someone who is absolutely team defense, I am.
If you've watched the Duval dive, you've seen
right. I'm always gonna be team defense. I'm team. All right, cool. This conversation should be had, and the NFL should examine and evaluate the rules to make it so that this is clear for defenders who, in trying to protect the quarterbacks, but also a separate conversation needs to be had about this individual play. We already have the rules in place saying you slide, the defender's got a monkey roll over it. Like this individual situation, Al-Shaair, he's wrong. He's fucking wrong. And there's no other way around it. He's wrong. Because you got to barrel roll across the guy. You got to dive across the guy. If you put your nuts in his face, so be it. But you got to go over Trevor. You cannot put your forearms into the man's chin. You can't do what this is. Again, we've seen literally hundreds of these slides take place in the 2024 season, 2023 season. We just don't see hits like this for the most part. Maybe every 5 to 10 years, you see a hit like this since the NFL has been big on this CTE thing. So Correct. Come on, man. Like let's keep it a buck. This was not that. Like the only people that are arguing for this, this hit being quote unquote bam bam or a late slide or anything along that, you have some kind of relationship with the Houston Texans or you're a Texans fan. Like that's just call it what it is, man. So
what was it? My argument was he didn't actually hit him in the head. Okay, cute. Let's pretend that's true. You still did this, and actually I'm going to go to Hef. He has a great Hef and Robert both have good comments here that accompany what we're both saying. And I forgot about the brace, Hef. Good on you. You going like this with metal-ish on your elbow, you're the problem. It's not close. And we mentioned the repeat offender thing as well. What is it that Robert says? 5th fine in 2024. His history is bad. Like that's Vontaze Burfict levels of ish. If you look
that's literally Derwin James level of ish. But to your point, I want to make your point because you actually did make a point that I want to give credit to. I want to give flowers to is the fact that the NFL made a bad decision on the Derwin James, and he even appealed it, and it stuck at 1 game. Made a bad decision in that situation does not change how they're going to stand on it today and moving forward. And this is no different than NFL contracts. The contract yesterday don't mean what the contract is going to be tomorrow. If Christian Kirk got this contract today and all of a sudden a year from now that's a cheap contract, well then that doesn't matter moving forward. So I would say the same thing in this situation. That suspension yesterday means nothing if the NFL is going to make this the standard moving forward. So you can't then argue in the precedence thing, which that's how I thought the NFL would look at it, honestly. Just me being real about this, me being someone who even works in the law field and heavy in the precedence thing. I thought the NFL would say, all right, this was the Derwin James suspension. Maybe we'll add another game to it, make it 2 games, and everybody will be happy.
That's what I was looking for was 2 games. Or not looking for, expecting was 2 games, yes.
Right. So the fact that they're saying it's going to be 3 games, I'm like, all right, cool. This is what the standard is going to be moving forward. In my opinion, this is what the precedence is going to be moving forward, and this is how they're going to look at it. And that's fine. It's going to piss off Houston Texans fans, but I don't really care about what they think right now. They are, in my opinion, they are enemy number 1 anyways.
Here's what kills me, right? Houston Texans fans out there who'll listen to me, you morons. Yeah, what you're setting the table for is for CJ Stroud to get jacked up just the same way. And then where the beep are you going to be? Then what we going to do?
We have always been into education and football, edutainment,
Education,
yes,
edutainment. Both
education.
apply
We have
here.
always been there. And in having these conversations with anyone who is a fan of the Houston Texans or is financially paid in or directly or indirectly by that organization, you are not going to have a legitimate actual nuanced conversation surrounding this, especially on the socials. That's not what's happening.
I will give credit to one individual in particular, as I often do, for all the incorrect trash, and he does it just because he's a Texas fan to talk trash. I can verify that. But my guy VT on Twitter, the host of the Catch 22 Texas podcast, of which I've been a guest, he does not argue that the suspension isn't warranted, and I'll give him that much credit.
I'll
give him that much credit.
All right, there's one Houston Texans fan who might have a brain and might not be biased. All right, cool.
Okay, who rubs two brain cells together? No, that's terrible.
We got one. All right, cool.
No, hey, but that's why I called him out. Listen, first of all, he's a friend of this show, having me on Catch 22 podcast. I'll bring that, and then, listen, other than talking about another team in the AFC South, he's capable of pretty good objective analysis. I talked plenty with him and his co-host about the Vikings game that they had previously. It was a very good conversation. So, listen, fanhood warps things sometimes. That's the whole reason of me being a 49er fan, works to make sure you ain't got them teal color glasses on, which you clearly don't in this conversation. Hell, you even stomped on your defense goggles.
So with the NFL doubling down and saying, all right, no, this is not okay. This is how we're going to view this moving forward. The comments by D'Amico Ryans, the comments by Nick Costello. Read his last name. Casario. There we go. The general
Don't say C word. People are going to get the wrong idea.
These comments, they rang even more hollow. They simply do. And if for any of you who haven't heard those comments, obviously, D'Amico Ryans after the hit, basically, there's no indirectly about it. Directly seemed to blame Trevor Lawrence for the late slide. They basically say that a lot of quarterbacks in this day and age, they try to take advantage of the rule where they slide late and they try to get an extra yard. And now you're a defender, and a lot of the onus is on the defender. You don't know what the guy's thinking. You don't know if he's standing up or if he's continuing to run. You don't know if it's a late slide, and you hit the guy. Now I thought that was a really Bush League answer, just to be honest with you.
Because it 1,000,000,000% is, Travis. What are we doing here?
And but worse part of that, then after that, he's saying that obviously they try to defend this guy. Then he's like, well, Al-Shaair, he hits the guy, but their sideline overreacts and it turns into a melee. It wasn't our guys, it was their team that overreacting, pushing our guy, dragging our guy down to the sideline. Jarian Jones, hey man, drinks on me. Next time I see you, bro. Jarian Jones gets ejected. A rookie cornerback from FSU gets ejected from the game for throwing the punch. Hey, bro, good job. Money well spent.
Can I build on that, Travis? I don't know if you saw on the Twitter account for 1010XL's the great Mia O'Brien. He I don't want to use the term double down, but he did basically say, I'd do it again for other members of the team.
He said, I would do it for all 70 or so guys on this.
Or however many there is.
And I said, Jarian, you are a dog. That's what I'm talking about, bro. I know the coach has got to say what he's got to say, but the players, that's what you want on your team. You want 53 of those guys, and that's what I'm here for. I'm not here for violence, but it's a violent sport.
I'm sure he got pulled aside and said, hey, Jarian, I feel what you're saying, but let's be careful. That being said, though, credit to the young man for giving not only an authentic answer, but I don't think that one's going to get him in any real trouble. But I can guarantee you, well, I'm not going to name the name, but I can guarantee you the communications guy will coach him on how he answered it, is what I'll say. That being said, though, I'm with you, man. It was a great concept. I wonder if someone's going to comment on this. Robert, I'll see you. I'll pull it up in a minute. But RPR 5212 is an interesting question. Why shouldn't there be a punishment for the franchise? So let me be clear. When I say you don't want to punish the franchise, what I mean is the players who are doing things the right way. Why should CJ Stroud be punished for the fact his linebackers showing, shall we say, repeat offender tendencies, right? Now, that being said, fining the franchise is a different question. My only response is what do you have in mind policy-wise? Are we talking about draft picks? Are we talking about finding the organization? And then the problem becomes you don't have a measurable. I got Travis taking his glasses off. Like, you're going full Shannon Sharp on me, brother. What am I? I'm not being Skip Bayless here, am I? Am I insulting you?
Not you. It's the question that throws me for a loop, because that's a
deep.
big NFLPA conversation. That's a
Mm-hmm.
what's in the rules conversation, and for the most part, it's something that happens on the field is not going to be able to be fined or punished for the whole organization unless it was something like cheating, something that was systematic and maybe involving the coaches or involving multiple individuals, something along those lines. Then you start getting into those conversations of maybe finding, the whole team or the organization top down. But if you're talking about something that an individual player did multiple times, they suspend him for the season or indefinitely or something like that before they'd ever get to talking about the full team. You have to have a note from the like Bountygate. You'd have to have something, a smoking gun from the organization saying take him out or something to that level before you even get into that conversation.
I see where you're coming from. Your experience in deposition and dealing with law is showing. And by the way, you're 1,000,000,000% correct on that particular front. And by the way, and Daryl talks about draft picks as a thing just as I did. What I think you have to do, and this is me speaking from the data perspective, you have to set a measurable. At what point do you start finding an organization, right? If a player gets fined himself, 5 times, then you start hitting the franchise. I'm not here to say I support it necessarily, but it's where the conversation should start.
I would argue that the league would then need to just you take that player off the field. At that point, it's not up to the organization. You take the power out of the organization's hands to even allow that guy to get to a 6th, 7th, 8th number, whatever that number is you want to. So Al-Shaair, let's say he hurts someone later this season from a late hit, or unsportsmanlike conduct, gets 2 or 3 of those, or whatever it may be. At that point, I think it's a reasonable conversation to be talking about the franchise, but you should never get to that point because the NFL, at that point, you have the arguing point, you'd have the ability, the cannon fodder you have the ammunition to take him off the field indefinitely or for the rest of the season. So you should never even make it to that point. That's you as a parent being mad at your child for not learning because you don't know how to teach him. You have the ability to get him off the field at that point.
Boy, by the way, commenters tonight, y'all are hot, man. Thank you so much. Your contribution is bleeding great. You're taking this ish places I wasn't even ready to go. We probably aren't talking. I'm just gonna say it. We probably not talking Walker Little tonight. As much as I'm curious about the contract and the impact.
Hey, listen, man, Walker Little got paid. We'll talk about it in a week.
Yeah, look,
that's cool. Hey, Walker Little got paid. We'll talk about it later.
I'm a host of the show. We talking O-line at some damn point, right? But no, but listen, to your point, and it's a good one. At some point, why would the franchise even get involved? At some point, you remove the player. I think you need to also deter the franchise or encourage the franchise. We'll flip it on its head. Encourage the franchise to coach the player away from that behavior. And something there. So maybe here's the line. Let me meet your concept and mine together in a lovely marriage of discipline here. Okay. The first 3 are the player. After the third, and pick the numbers you like. I don't give a damn. But after the third, then not only do you hit the player, the team loses a draft pick. And then once they get to 5, at that point you pull the player. And again, pick the numbers you like. I don't care.
I know.
But let's say
out loud. Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, it's rough, but this is the line we're towing. And again, I don't necessarily love it or support it, but this is the place.
It, but you're trying to evaluate what that would even look like. And as you're evaluating what it would look like, I'm cringing.
Saying it out loud is crazy.
As a defender, I'm cringing on the inside as a defender, feeling rough for these guys whose job is already ridiculously hard. And I'm not talking about Al-Shaair. I'm talking about all defenders, just in general. Ooh, that job is so damn hard. To then have this conversation and to be talking about the whole franchise and everything else, that's why I'm like, you need that smoking gun. But I fully understand why everybody's talking about it, and good, right on them. Next owners meeting, I'm sure this is going to be a major topic of conversation.
What we're broaching is just an infinitesimal crumb of a fraction of a piece of why Roger Goodell gets upwards of $40 million.
RPR just made a great comment. That
I'm gonna get in there. Hold on now.
Rattling through my head this entire time, and I was trying to find the best way of saying it because the Houston Texans GM and head coach have expressly, outright, unofficially endorsed the behavior. And if there were any even remote leeway in trying to find the organization or lean on the organization in some kind of way that they at minimum better talk better in public, that would be the big issue. Like that's the biggest issue of all, the fact that they both doubled down, both the GM and the head coach in lockstep, doubled down on something that the NFL obviously deems to be wrong.
Oh, okay. This is an interesting point. I'll get to you, Robert. And actually, RPR, hell, you had other stuff in here that's good. But I saw this just come in. I want to address this first. We're criticizing and talking all this trash, and I'm sure what few Texans fans watch this. So if you're still tuning in, first of all, thank you. Second, I'll give this much grace. Hef brings in a point. Dan Campbell did it right. Man Campbell, who of course he did it right. He showed the refs the videos prior to the game with Caleb Williams, warned them that he would hit him if they weren't flagged for it. Okay. God, this is the respect.
On the funky looking slide play is what he's referencing.
Yeah.
Not wrong. He's not wrong though. Hef, you own it right there, man.
So and just so we can be clear, so everybody doesn't just think I'm some offensive dolt, only looking at one side of it. When Kenny Pickett first slipped, I think it was something dumb like the first responder bowl, but he was still a Panther. He was not a Steeler yet. When he first did a fake slide, I can't do it because I want to use somewhat proper language on the show. When I saw it, oh, bleep. No, we got to take that out. That's got to be a penalty right now.
Yep.
And college football did that. So, I am anti-fake sliding. I am anti-playing that game. Now, here's the biggest problem, and I know you're going to agree with it, so just let me land this play. Get off my play. I'm Harrison Ford. No. You're leaving another element of discretion in the hands of the NFL officials who you and I already regularly criticize. This is like getting government involved with healthcare. Does this really feel like a good idea? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. Do you really want the officials to do that? Do you want this level of something that's already incompetent further given a very difficult task? And this is where the issue comes into play. Now, I differ fake sliding from stepping out of bounds. That's just really hard. If you can't shimmy any better than this going backwards, which you shouldn't do anyway because it's dangerous for you, if we're trying to protect the players from themselves, this is a good penalty, period.
Well,
point blank.
NFL quarterbacks have always had a different set of rules than everyone else, literally everyone else. And because all NFL players other than quarterbacks have this set of rules, I then have to, even running out of bounds, even in sliding, I have to give you a new set of rules. So yes, running out of bounds, I know it's difficult and everything else, and they're technically a runner.
But I don't want to take it there.
Tom Brady's point, right? And in Tom Brady's point, there's a lot more running quarterbacks these days, especially with the infusion of spread football into the NFL coming from the college ranks. We're going to have all these running quarterbacks who become basically rushers, and some of these guys are freaking fast. Lamar Jackson out there running like a 4.34, 4.40. Like,
it's
they're
nutty.
running backs.
Hey, Trevor ain't slow. I don't care if he's white or not. I said it.
So I fully understand. Yeah. So I fully understand, like, defenders just being like, hey, man, this is ridiculous. How are we supposed to play football? But if you're going to have all these extra protections for quarterbacks, then you have to make this lane a little bit clearer for defenders. And that's obviously, I'm not defending Al-Shaair, but that's that second conversation that I was speaking of earlier that obviously makes it difficult on them. And it gives them a little bit of an out in having this conversation. And when it's bullshit, it's BS. It's a BS, but that's why we're having the conversation right now.
By the way, that drop right there would be allowed on NYPD Blue. I'll allow it. Former linebacker coach endorses tackling players who run full speed at his linebackers. Yes, that's the issue. Brandon has nailed it here. And you made a joke earlier that I'm going to allow a pass through because it is kind of funny that's inappropriate as it is, Brandon, but let me get through it. At no point does Azeez Al-Shaair attempt to wrap Trevor. That's a wrestling move. Can you smell what the student is cooking?
Crazy part. Right. So I know, and I don't want to spend all the time on Al-Shaair, but he obviously deserves it. And
oh my God, we're a half hour in.
He wanted all the smoke. He got all the smoke. I'm sorry, nationally, that's what's happening. But
he got all the smoke and then asked for more by coming back onto the field to start more ish. How about that?
Man, shout out, man. Yeah, shout out to Anton Harrison. I haven't heard many people talk about him. Shout out to
Oh
Trevon
gosh,
Walker out there body slamming folks. Shout out to Brandon Scherf trying to come and get some more on the second go round.
I
Jari, and
mean,
obviously, man, that's the main one. Evan Ingram immediately. That my boy ain't think twice. He ain't breathe nothing.
yo.
Just out of there.
Let's give credit to guy number 2 there to back his veteran, no Brenton Strange, man. Right?
Brenton Strange immediately ran over. I felt bad for Tim Jones, bro. If anybody's watched that video in slow motion and just look at everybody, but look at Tim Jones. He's standing and he's worried about Trevor, and I fully understand it. And everybody else is like, I'm ready to fight. And if you watch it, it's hilarious because it was like he's the only one that's frozen.
A psychology class could be taught on the various stages of dealing with crisis. One is retaliation, one is recovery. Yeah, no, good shout on Tim Jones, by the way.
I felt bad for him, bro.
So here's what Brandon dropped earlier. Azeez Al-Shaair hit Sunshine so hard he no longer remembers the Titans. Well, first of all, they haven't played the Titans yet, so what is there to remember, Brandon? Let's be fair. So I'll leave that at that.
No, but Trevor's injuries are kind of stacking up over these last 3 years, man. And I mean, like, prayers up for him. Like, I know he's going to take all this time to recover, become a girl dad. And obviously they said he's planning on taking the AC joint surgery and spend a few weeks before getting the surgery. A lot of people have asked, why is he waiting a few weeks to have the surgery? Like, well, obviously, like, the man's about to have a baby. You want to let him have that time, or even if he doesn't have the baby before having the surgery, at least give his wife all that attention before the attention then flips right back on him having to recover from his surgery while they're having a child at the same time. Nah, man, this thing is a little bigger than football. Get a man his time. Enjoy your time recovering, bro. You'll be fully healthy by the season. Enjoy your marriage, man.
I'll put it this way. With personal experience, you would be surprised how much the man can help the pregnancy process. I know I was personally involved in some way, shape, form, or fashion for my daughter arriving on time. I'm not going to tell you now because it's not this kind of show, but like, listen, you can be helpful as a husband. That's a real thing, okay?
You can be.
I'm saying.
Oh gosh.
Now so, during labor, that's different.
I know we're going a little bit longer because Al-Shaair again. That kind of.
No, we're not going longer because of him. We're going longer because these commenters are in here, and we give the people what they want. Travis Holmes.
All right.
Listen, and this is interesting. I'm not sure exactly where he's going. Maybe you could fill in the blank, but careful hitting any players on the Titans team during Jaguars-Titans game. All decisions are reviewed by former Titans players and current Titans media staff. What am I missing? Oh, is he talking about Runyon?
One of the appeal was handled by what was in the former Titans O-lineman or something like that?
Well, Runyon, I know him better as an Eagle, but I forget if he had time in Tennessee.
Well, it was the original. I thought Runyon had made the original decision, but I thought someone else made the
He wrote the letter. He wrote the letter that was so scathing.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, I forgot. Hey, yeah, no, thanks, Brandon. I've completely forgot Kevin Mawai was involved. I forgot Kevin Mawai was involved. Thank you, Brandon. Yeah, I wondered if Runyon was the guy he was talking about. Listen, if Runyon's going to do that consistently, fine. Now, granted, I wouldn't go after getting any revenge hits on Calvin Ridley this game. That's a good point by you, Brandon. Well done. RPR, I love you. We're not talking little this week, but I can guarantee you one of these questions is going to be asked here in the contract. Does this mean 4 of the 5 starters are back next year? That's interesting. I'll lead with this.
I may take a snippet of that one so we can talk about that one another week because we will have the time and it will absolutely come up.
There you go. We'll leave it at that. And yeah, Jordy Nelson's a former Titan.
If you're listening, like and subscribe on YouTube.
Yes.
Duval at Duval Dive. Again, we absolutely will talk about these comments, but I just want to make sure we give it the appropriate attention it deserves. A good 5-minute conversation and keep that thing moving.
So, and see, now we even got the commenters talking to each other. Let's go. You guys rule. I'm stoked right now. This is great.
Earned the contract, and I am not sure I agree, but again, that's why we want to have that conversation.
See, that's called a teaser, Travis Holmes. I'm not even mad at you for doing that ish. Well, at some point, we do have to remember there is a football game to be played this weekend.
Yes.
The Tennessee Titans. Listen, this game might actually be sort of competitive. I'm terrible. Travis Holmes, man, listen, it begins and ends with protection, right? I know that the Jags have a good edge rush. Simmons is still on the Titans roster, as far as I know. He's a damn problem, even when you don't have a less than perfect interior line on offense. It's going to boil down to make fewer mistakes. Mac Jones or Mason Root, who they even have a quarterback right now?
It's Will Levis.
Okay, just checking.
He a fan. Yes, Will Levis. It's that dude.
Real quick, Brandon. I see what you did there with the dad joke. I'm going to give him that, and then I'm going to move on. Go ahead.
Now the Mayo Messiah is who is going to be playing against the Jaguars, and we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I mean, again, that Tennessee Titans defense, they've been reasonably solid. Again, you touched on Jeffrey Simmons. We already going to be playing with a backup quarterback, so you're probably going to get an offensive playbook that's going to be very similar to what they did against the Minnesota Vikings, and even the second half against the Houston Texans last week. We're running a lot of 13 personnel, 3 tight ends, or two goodness gracious tight ends, maybe a little bit Parker Washington outside in those situations, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not 100% sure Jacksonville's going to be able to run the ball against them, so that's going to be that conversation. And Jacksonville
Simmons makes that a problem, man. That's why I brought him up.
They've really struggled when they haven't been able to run the ball, and especially when playing with Matt Jones. So tank for Hunter? I don't know. Tank for Travis. Like this is where we are right now, bro. I mean, I'm not hoping for a win. I'm not even looking forward to it. It is what
we
it is.
know you're a Travis Hunter, sir. Yes.
It is a football game will happen. How about that? A football game's going to happen no matter whether we want it to happen or not. It's going to be Will Levis, the Mayo Messiah versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, Calvin Ridley will probably make some sort of appearance because he's been up top of the league as far as air yards over the past few weeks, which I thought was very interesting. And he's a very boomer bust player in these past few games. So I'm hoping this is not one of those bust weeks. But if it is, it's still we still win either way, man. We trying to get rid of this coach and this GM. We know what this is.
I love the optimism. By the way, the question asked, does Wolford see the field? Of course, this is the Broncos receiver. I believe that was picked up. I can't rule it out, but I'm doubtful.
That was talking about John Wolford, right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, he was just signed.
I think that was today.
He was signed to the practice squad.
So he probably, like I said, like to Travis's point, I don't think he sees the field this weekend, but you got to think sooner than later. He's in action there. Think Tavon Austin in the Urban Meyer year, right?
Yeah, he's not seen. If he's seen the field, then we got problems with obviously we got problems with what's the name with CJ Beathard. I mean, he's our backup. So
I thought it was a receiver, not a quarterback. My mistake.
John Wolford. I could have sworn he was a quarterback. Am I crazy?
No, I got confused. What I'm referring to, and I saw it on Twitter before I got on the show and flashed it, so I'm embarrassing myself thoroughly. But
no, I got you. It's all by memory, man. He's been on the squad for like a day. Like I don't feel bad about.
Oh, he's asking if we go to the next level of depth at quarterback. God, I completely botched that issue.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, if they're not playing Beathard, they're not playing any. They're going to return. It's the return to the MAC if they're not playing Beathard. That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, I mean, if we're talking about that, this is like preseason at that point. Like, what are we doing? Like you guys are turning the game off at the end of the third quarter and watching something on TV. Like that's fine. So we don't really have to talk about John Wolford, and I'm not.
See, Hef's got my back. I see, and this is my fault because I thought the name was Reynolds, but I doubted myself when I saw the comment.
Oh, because Reynolds was signed, and you knew a receiver.
That's
was signed,
the Broncos
and
guy
about
he's talking
Wolford.
about.
I understand.
Yeah.
No,
Hef is
Reynolds
on fire in the comments.
That's funny though. Reynolds is somebody I wanted the Jaguars to add to the roster this past offseason because of the season that he had in Detroit last year, and I wrote that in my Big Cat Country article discussing Trevor Lawrence being added to the injured reserve, and the team also adding Reynolds to the adding him from waivers. I'm sorry. So because of the Jaguars adding him from waivers, they also accept his 2-year contract that he signed with the Denver Broncos, which means he will be on the roster next year if they choose to continue keeping him on the roster after these next 5 games. So the Jaguars basically get a sneak peek at him. for the next 5 games with Matt Jones, and whatever the new staff, hopefully there is a new staff, decides to do with him next year, they'll have that ability to.
If and when there's a new staff, that's how you handle that, Travis Holmes.
I don't want to be positive right now, but yes.
But that's not positive. That's a nice fence-sitting take right there. But Hef is going to be positive for you, preparing for Ben Johnson. There you go.
Oh, take him back to Ben Johnson. Well, see, he had a year under Ben Johnson, so yeah, I like that. And he has no dead cap next year. Reynolds. It's a $4.5 million cap savings if there's a pre-June 1st cut. Should the new staff decide that? It is literally a low risk to no risk move that no one should be mad about. I mean, I know we should be mad about the season or mad about the fact that it's Trent Baalke making these decisions, but hey, man, as Shad Khan said, I'm paying that man to do a job, and he's still actively doing a job. Cool. I respect that. Cool.
So when it comes to Trent, Travis, is it safe to say that you have criticism in Baalke?
I don't hear the dad joke there, but I got you. I knew.
Bulk, come on, step your game up. Criticism in Bulk. Jeez, good Lord, man.
Dang. Bulk. Oh, my bad. Yeah, I just misheard it. I heard Bulky. Okay. All right, cool.
Well, it is bulky, right? That's the essence of the commenters got it. Whatever.
Yeah, but everything we're doing right now is prepping for next season, and as soon as the season ends, they're going to be signing guys to future contracts and things of that nature. Man, the season's over; it's a wrap. Turn this thing into a parking lot. Like,
bro, I hate to interrupt you. We're already way over time, and these commenters are on fire. They're even getting in your part of the woods talking about the reason why they haven't gone after any safeties via waivers. Woo! No, guys, you got to get back next week. We got to give Travis something to talk about.
I'm sitting there like that doesn't even matter. Like, and I say that because you don't even know what defense you're playing next year. You don't know if you're playing man. You don't know if you're playing zone. At this point, everything you're doing is just getting sneak peeks on players for next season. So yes, should you want that? Sure. But also, are those players even going to want to come here? Like, those are real conversations that people pretend that don't happen. Like, a player can say, I don't want to play for you guys. Please don't put a waiver out on me. Because all you're doing is adding a headache to your locker room, a la Deontay Johnson. You don't want to do that. So there's some.
You just came in off the top rope. You just came in off the top rope like Travis the Rock Holmes. It doesn't matter what we're doing with safeties right now. All right.
Yeah, we don't know if we're playing man or zone defense even right now. So I mean, bringing them in, fine, but we're moving. What do they say? We're moving chairs on the Titanic. That's what's happening, and that's where we are.
It's that kind of party. Holy goodness!
Well, that's what we did in the bye week, right? All these off-field changes, and then they came through that first quarter and looked like the same Jacksonville Jaguars team we've come to know and hate. That's what it's been.
So, I'll be honest. I've always wanted to learn the string instrument. I wasn't trying to do it on a sinking ship. But enough about that. Speaking of the Titanic, we do have a Titans game. Tell the people what you think is going to happen.
Sure. I mean, I guess we have to talk about this game. All right. So the Jaguars barely lost against. Then which person on the team is Rose and survives? Lord.
With your Titanic reference, that's a capital drop. RPR.
I mean, Rose is obviously Trent Baalke. Like, I don't think Rose can be anyone else but Trent Baalke. He is
the kind of dude that would be on a door that another person could get on and let him sink.
I'm sorry. I know we were talking about the Titans, but I like this question. I like this question right now. So
it's a great question.
Jacksonville Jaguars are the Titanic. Then Trent Baalke is absolutely Rose. Rose is out there with a divorced husband who helped give her a whole lifestyle. And she was like thinking about this one dude that she had. She's over here thinking about Gardner Minshew, basically. Over here thinking about Gardner Minshew, that one guy who was on the team for just one season. Meanwhile, she's out there throwing a $200,000 diamond or whatever this gem is into the
million.
I'm sorry, dollar diamond into the. That's Trent Baalke all day. He's throwing away this Shad Khan's money like there is no tomorrow. Like that's it, baby. So Shad Khan is Rose and Trevor Lawrence for the last 2 seasons is absolutely what's the guy's name that dies? Freaking A. Jack. There you go. Trevor Lawrence is Jack. Trent Baalke is Rose, and I don't know who the door is.
If anybody the door is the franchise. If anybody wonders why I know the answer is Jack, I'm going to plead the Cat Williams defense. I don't like the Titanic movie, but do. Anyways, we'll leave it at that. Titans, what do you got, brother?
All right, man. All right, so the Titans, I got to believe that the Titans are going to win this game, and I don't.
What?
It's not even that I want. Yeah, I do believe that. I mean, if I can, I'm looking at common opponents. I'm looking at the matchups of this game. I'm looking at the fact that the Jacksonville Jaguars offense can only score when they're down 10 plus points, and then they finally start driving. And that's no matter if Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback or Matt Jones. The fact that I don't believe that they're going to be able to run the ball very well. The fact that I don't believe they're going to be motivated to play. We've seen enough games this season of the Jacksonville Jaguars defense just simply not giving the effort that they actually need on film.
In your defense, I cited that last week in the keys to the game on the Fans First Sports Network.
Right. So all of these things added into this whole box and just shaking it up. The week after their quarterback is now just out for the season, and they finally have some clarity on that from the team's perspective. They actually like, no, for sure, I'm out of the playoffs. I'm packing this thing in. I'm looking into Cancun. Like, yeah, man, I truly believe at that point you might have a tight game, but that tight game's going to absolutely be at the edge going to the better coach team, the team that actually feels like they may have something to play for, even though they only have 3 wins themselves.
I'm about to say, what do they really have to play for? Only thing they got to play for is Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, I mean, they're just like us. That's basically what they have to play for. And yeah, I'm probably going to go Tennessee Titans in the ugliest of ugly games. Let's say, let's say 10-17, like the ugliest game. The boyfriend is Peterson. Ooh.
And I bring that up because Robert made a comment earlier that I wanted to touch on. We didn't get to it about how Peterson was a little gentle in his response to this incident. I 1,000,000,000% agree.
All right. So when you know you're going to be fired, and the fact of the matter is, Shad is not going to fire you because Shad is not going to pay you to be at home. He don't got a reason to fire you for cause. This isn't like the Urban Meyer situation or even the Tom Coughlin situation where you may potentially have a cause in your contracts to not pay them. You're paying them to sit at home and watch Netflix. If you're Shad and you were just refusing to fire the man and he's going to be here, at that point, he's trying to get that next job. He's trying to get that next television role. He's trying to get.
So you think he's trying to be political for the next job? Because if it's a TV role, I would argue getting animated works in his favor.
Yeah, but he's not. He hasn't shown
he's not
to
animated.
Be that guy for the most part.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
He just really hasn't shown to be that guy.
Hey, so listen, I know you're the boots on the ground, but I've talked to the man too.
yeah. So I don't know that he's kissing anybody's. I don't know that it's that. It's just the fact that he's obviously don't have to fire for it anymore because the writing's on the wall. This is a wrap. He's just right. This is the Titanic, and you know it's shipping, and you know it's sinking. And what's the point of trying to climb on a ladder or trying to build yourself a homemade life raft or whatever else of the freakish things and freaking out? He's just like, nah, man. I'm just going down. I'm chilling. I'm vibing over here. I'm drinking my wine, and I know y'all mad about this game, but I ain't here for the future. This is what it is.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's arguing that point, Robert. That's why the Jags lose games is because of that sentiment that has come to pass.
Yeah.
Listen.
So what about you, sir? So I gave you my prediction. I'm saying 17, something like a 17-13 Titans win. And I think it's not even that close. Actually, in reality, I think the Jags maybe score something late to make it look close. I think it's an ugly, low-scoring game. What about you, sir?
Well, what I hear rampant in your musings, as intelligent and as most of them, all of them are. Let's be honest. You're Travis C. Holmes up in this Humpy Bumpy. Your disrespect for Cam Little is rampant. Not a single kick from him. Really?
I said 13. That's 2 kicks.
Well, no. You said the Titans had 13. I thought.
No, I said 17-13. That means.
Excuse me. I heard 13-7. My bad. Fair enough. Well done. I retract my criticism. Nonetheless, there's still disrespect. You're saying he only gets 1. No, you say he gets 2. I'm saying it's more. But if the number of field goal attempts by the Jaguars is 2.5, give me the damn over, fools. Here's what it is, okay? At some point, Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker, 2 of the dudes that do their job week in, week out on this roster, Gosh, I'm sorry, Eric Armstead. And, well, of course, Foye Oluokun, because he's awesome. Let's be clear. Sorry, Andre. But, and Jarian will be suspended. So, and Tyson's hurt. So, with all that being said, I'm going through the list, right?
Jeez.
The edge rush regularly makes something happen. If it's just a sack, if it's just a pressure, that's fine. But let's not forget the mayonnaise messiah is in their sights. That dude is going to have at least 1-2 turnover. If you give me the over-under on turnovers for the mayonnaise messiah at 2.5, I am taking the... Okay, I'm taking the under because I think it's 2. But he might get more. And if the field position is appropriate, Cam Little is going to get them field goals. All right?
I think going to get them field goals. I give you that.
Okay, so listen, the return of the Mac, he gets 1 more passing touchdown. He gets 3 more field goals. Based on your logic, it's still 17-16. Cool. I just don't think the Titans score that much. And they'll have a chance to win the football game, and then Calvin Ridley will drop the chance to win it. I have the Jaguars 20. That implies I'm saying 2 touchdowns for 16-13 Jaguars. That's my count.
You think the Jaguars win, and you think the Jaguars defense plays well enough to stop them. I like.
I've said this once. I'll say it again. There is nothing more Jaguar than winning a game to disappoint all the Travis Hunters.
That's facts. Ooh, that's facts. And you mentioned Eric Armstead earlier, and I'm like, why are you mentioning Eric Armstead?
I was about to apologize to him
because
Robertson
Harris ain't been on the team for weeks, and he's still got double the amount of sacks than Eric Armstead.
Damn, that's my point.
Robertson Harris only has 2 sacks.
Well, I was bringing up Armstead to be critical of Ryan Nielsen rotating him around again, but who knows? Maybe one time on the inside he'll actually make. That's the wild card. The one time or the few times that Armstead's inside, he might make Will Levis make a mistake. It's possible.
Okay, everything's possible. Yeah, anything's possible.
Oh no, you're going full Kevin Darnell. Oh, goodness gracious.
Lord.
Goodness, guys, great in the comments. This was one of the hardest episodes for me to end, and I'll be honest, the main reason I'm doing it is I still got to get ready for my 9 o'clock for the student of the game, where I'll be having 1010XL's RJ Saunders jump on to talk some dang. Hey, listen, that's my dude right there. I actually met him as an intern at UCF, so there you go. Travis B. Holmes, man, tell the people where you can be found, my guy.
Well, find me on all the socials, whether you're a blue skyer or you're someone who's still on X. Hey, man, you got to do something with your life. I don't know. We got to get off that. Hey,
don't argue. X gonna give it to you.
No. Whether it's X, whether it's blue sky, whether it's Facebook. If you're older, I understand. Hey, we all got our thing we ain't letting go. Some of us, they got flip phones. Whatever the social you're on, you can find me there. We can interact. We can talk Jacksonville Jaguars football. I truly do interact. I'm not just someone who covers a team. I'm blessed to be a beat writer, but also I'm actually a fan of this team.
He is among the Duval devout. Let me be clear. Absolutely.
Yes. And more importantly, BigCatCountry.com. We have the write-up for Josh Reynolds being added off the waiver wire, Trevor Lawrence being added to the injured reserve. Most likely he's done for the season, obviously, with getting the AC joint surgery. We also have the fact that the Jaguars were eliminated from playoff contention article up on the site, and we always will have your post-game write-ups immediately after the game every week. So definitely say that as your favorites. But for the most part, that's it for me, and all the other inside the pigskin every week for the South Florida Tribune I'm on. That's covering all football, college football, NFL football, XFL, CFL, all of it. We talk about a little bit of everything. So check that out. Just follow me on the socials. But for the most part, I'm not going to give you everything. That's the gist of it. Where can you be found, sir?
Hey, listen, first of all, big shouts to not only you, Travis T. Holmes, but the comments section. RPR, you thank us. No, sir, thank you. You're one of the people that keep it coming back. By the way, smash the damn subscribe button on the Duval Dive YouTube channel.
Please.
We certainly need it. We're building. There are those out there that talk about your Jaguars, Duval Devout, that don't watch the games, and we need to make sure we can do what we can to get our message out there ahead of the Emmanuel Achos as much as possible. That being said, of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the gang. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Thanks to the peer pressure of Travis T. Holmes at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings with the Fans First Sports Network. Not only your Jaguars there, Duval, Duval, but also the Orlando Magic just dropped a piece last night talking about how they're getting ready for the Emirates NBA Cup, and Paolo Banchero, this close to returning. Check it out. Of course, my work as well with the Student of the Game podcast on shortly after this, 9 p.m. Eastern. Huddle up in Sertopia Media channels. If not, just go to my Twitter account, the SOTG, of course. You know what? StreamYard needs to be broadcast in the blue sky, too. We need to step it up, StreamYard. You already screwed up my microphone. I need to be able to damn stream to blue sky. And on top of that, by the way,
I guess they'll just have to watch us on YouTube. So.
Smash it! Smash the subscribe! And then, of course, check out my work with the Black and Gold Banneret, working tirelessly to keep you abreast of all the things going on with not only UCF basketball for the men and women, but the new football head coach hiring action there. Guys, Lincoln Riley was never a serious candidate. Stop it. Whoever in The Athletic reported that should be fired. I said it. All they reported to you was that Terry Mohajir made a phone call. That's UCF's AD, for those that know. Anyways, so damn near an hour, Travis. We gave the people what they wanted.
We will talk about Walker Little next Wednesday because his contract details literally just dropped 6 minutes ago, and from Spot Track, and I am very angry about that. Listen, we'll get into it later.
And credit to the commenters, both Robert and RPR, mentioning Mason Smith getting more reps than Arik Armstead. Listen, I got to tell you, at this point, you need to get the young guys some reps, right? That's what it is. Guys, great show tonight. An honor, joy, and privilege. I say that every week, but I mean it a little bit more this week. Y'all were great. Yeah, until next time, everyone, class dismissed.